This is the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abich, founder of Abich Financial Services.
Abe, of course, one of the things we're here on the radio doing every week is not only giving people solutions and ideas, thought starters, but talking about how you at Abich Financial can help and the work that you do as financial advisors and retirement planners. One of the big areas that we like to remind people, but we haven't touched on as of late, is the difference between you at Abich Financial and what so many other financial advisors in the industry do, because there are a lot of smart savers in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, but those are not necessarily the people that you work with mainly at Abich Financial.
Yeah, we primarily serve people that are 55 and older because they're really close to retiring or already in retirement. And, if you're 30 to 40, you're listening to this right now, then hey, keep on socking it away and accumulating. And if the markets were to go down for you and you're 35 years old and the markets were to go down by 50%, well, that's a wonderful buying opportunity, and buy stuff when it's cheap. And, eventually the markets will probably rebound. They usually always do. But if you're 58, 62, and the market were to go backwards by 50%, 30, 40%, 20% negative right at the point of retirement, that's another deal. Yeah. That's a whole nother ball game.
It is.
So the main difference, Heather, in who we are as a firm, and I would say the majority of the industry, we say phase one and phase two a lot, right? Because it kind of separates the phases and seasons of life from, accumulation, where you're accumulating in your career and saving and investing and growing everything, the nest egg, to get to a number and get to retirement, versus getting through retirement in phase two, once you've hit maybe 60, 65, and you've got your 5 million saved, 3 million, a million, 10 million, whatever it is you need saved. Now that's got to last you another 30 to 40 years. Yeah. That's where we kind of lie right there in phase two. That's where we kind of specialize, is in phase two, at the point of retirement, maybe right before it or into it. And it's our understanding that less than 10% of the entire industry really specializes in helping people 55, 60, 65, 70 years old and older with that phase two plan.
It's such a major shift that retirees make, not only leaving behind the working world, but now entering into this next phase. They have so many questions. They are worried about so many different things that they've never had to worry about before, Abe. And so perhaps, and I know this happens all the time, folks come to you and they have never had a financial advisor. They've been able to DIY their savings plan their entire lives by themselves, but they get here and they start hearing about all these different things, about tax strategies, income strategies, Social Security strategies, and they think to themselves, maybe we should seek out some professional help. So as you're listening to us on the radio, if you are one of these folks that you are in the market for your first financial advisor, you are probably talking to folks that you know, and recommendations, they come from all over, online, your family, your friends, maybe a coworker. But when you are actually interviewing an advisor, what should you be paying attention to? This is wealth manager Brandon Mull on the Broadcast Retirement Network.
You're going to be working with your advisor for the long term and through major life events. And all of those things, a good advisor will step through those life phases with you. And if you meet someone through your brother-in-law or at a country club, it might work out, but you never really know. So you really want to evaluate that personal fit and relationship. And you're trying to understand as well, will this person call me back? How much did they care about me? Are they listening more than talking at me? And they should be able to give you a really good comfort level and confidence that, hey, even when the market is up and down and sideways and whatever, I have a good understanding of the plan we have in place, and I have every confidence that you'll be right by my side.
When somebody is interviewing an advisor, Abe, what should they be looking for? Good things and also red flags that might tip them off that maybe this is not a good fit.
Right. Yeah. I think the first thing is, what do you specialize in, right? Like, we specialize in helping people predominantly 55 years old and older get to the point of retirement and transition successfully over from their working career into retirement. That's the vast majority of our clientele. And then those people that have already retired, but maybe not have put together a plan yet. Again, people typically 60 years old and older. So what would that advisor specialize in? If it's just investments, if it's just stocks and bonds, managing money, if they're talking about rate of return and what they can make you on the investments, then that might not be the person, firm or advisor, to help you get through retirement. Even though the rate of return, what you're earning, what you're making on your investments is obviously important, what you're keeping on those investments is just as, if not more important, at the point of retirement, because you don't want to take a step backwards. You don't want to go back to work. You don't want to lose a big chunk of your nest egg. So look at what they specialize in and what the vast majority of their clientele looks like what's the age range, what is the average amount of assets they're working with, How do they charge? How do they get paid? Obviously, you don't want to be rushed into a decision. That's kind of a red flag. If someone's pressuring you to move quickly, if they're just talking about products, if they're just trying to sell you a product, and then understand how they would work with you from, day one and forward. How many meetings you would have, what is the value you're going to be getting? Are they doing comprehensive planning as we do here at Abich Financial, or is it really just wealth management and just investment management, or is it just a product that someone's looking to kind of push? All those things and many, many more. I mean, we could almost spend an entire radio show just going over all the things to look out for when you're hiring a financial advisor. But there's a lot, and a lot of it will come down to gut feel. Do you see yourself trusting this person and firm? Do you like them? And is the planning you're looking for, are the gaps in your plan able to be fixed by the firm you're about to hire? Can they help you solve your problems? And can they help you solve your problems, your money problems, for the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Okay, got it.
Well, we just helped a family in Leesburg, Virginia, about $3.5 million saved. They're in their early 60s and going to retire in the next 36 months, 3 years from now. They were referred to us. They've got tons of accounts, between 10 to 15 different accounts.
Really?
They also have between 10 to 15 accounts. This is one of those cases we talk about a lot on the show where, the husband kind of leads the charge financially. He knows the spreadsheets. He's working the spreadsheets, looking at the values of the accounts probably daily, updating those spreadsheets, and the wife is not too involved and probably would not know what to do if something happened to the husband. And that happens. That is the case so often. And why we really encourage husband and wife to come in together to really be on the same page as much as possible. But $3.5 million accumulated, fantastic job of saving, but just not knowing how to retire, not knowing how to get there with 36 months left. So the solution for them was a comprehensive retirement plan and roadmap. And we talk about that a lot here on the show, is you need a roadmap, right? If you're going to a venue, a destination, a restaurant somewhere here in the area for the first time, and maybe not even the first time, you might plug in GPS because you don't want to get lost. You don't want to take the wrong turn off the highway. And so how could you go into the next 30 plus years of your lives without a roadmap, without kind of knowing where you're headed, how everything comes together that you just worked the last 40 years to build, when to take Social Security, how to plan for taxes, how to plan for healthcare, what should my investments look like in my 60s, 70s, and 80s? All of these things are new. Pension decisions, estate planning, wills and trusts. I mean, you've got all these things that you probably have not made a decision on or around in your entire life that you're now, faced with here at the point of retirement because you're now 60, 62, 65. You got Medicare and on and on and on. So we put together a retirement roadmap that laid out all of that for them. We consolidated and streamlined as much as possible for them, discussed and planned for key decisions coming down the pike for them, like Social Security and pensions and so forth. So if you're 55 years old and older, you're listening to the show right now and you say, you know what, Abe, I could really use a retirement roadmap myself, a complimentary second opinion, retirement roadmap. We'd love to offer that to you as well. If you're 55 and older, you save $500,000 or more for your retirement in investable assets we can help you with. Know where you stand today. Where are you headed? The pros and cons of everything you've done today. This is your life savings. You deserve it. And we want to offer that plan to you complimentary.
All right, Abe, thinking about folks that are seeking out advice, another huge area, huge topic, huge question for folks lately is the benefits of a Roth, specifically a Roth conversion. But a big question remains for a lot of folks, and that's when should we do one? Financial author Sean Mullaney was telling Morningstar that he believes the sweet spot for a Roth conversion is between ages 66 through 69. This is Sean Mullaney.
So these 4 years, the world tends to be our oyster. And during these 4 years, we have a high standard deduction. And we now have the senior deduction. Now that's quote unquote temporary for 4 years. We'll see if that is really temporary or not. But regardless, these 4 years tend to be the best Roth conversion years because we don't have required income. We could delay Social Security. We're not managing for premium tax credit. These are the 4 years I think most retirees should be most thinking about Roth conversions.
Do you agree? Again, he's saying the sweet spot is between ages 66 to 69. So do you agree with that? And also, as he was saying, is it really this simple?
I do agree. He's not wrong, but I would also add, Heather, that perhaps in your early 60s, your early 60s to your mid 60s, and maybe even early 60s to those late 60s he mentioned could be a good time. It's basically when your working income has stopped or slowed down a lot. Maybe you've gone from full-time to part-time, or one spouse has retired, the other one's working, or you both have retired but not yet started Social Security and income from your portfolio. Right? Maybe you're living on cash, deferred compensation, a bonus payout, or whatever it is, but the income is low. That's the key. And lower than it may ever be. That's the time when you really want to consider Roth conversions. And so we're now over, I think, $39 trillion of national debt. And when you think about the things that could mess up our wealth down the road, taxes going up, higher taxes, and the probability that taxes will be higher down the road is probably very high. And one of the things that so many of our clients want to plan for, so you don't pay too much in tax, right? So you have more in your pockets and more going to your family and more that you can enjoy in your retirement. We helped a family in Fairfax, Virginia. They're in their late 60s, been working with a phase one firm for a long time, but not getting that comprehensive plan we talk about here on the show week in and week out. The continued investment management, they were getting their money managed, but not a comprehensive plan to include tax planning. We put together a tax mapping report and analysis for them. We discovered that they could actually do about $100,000 in conversions per year while still staying in the same tax bracket. We showed them the tax bracket they're in now, the tax bracket they would be in, doing $100,000 conversions, and it was the same bracket. All of their income needs are already met through pensions. They're not yet taking Social Security, not yet on RMDs. So the time for conversions, going from the pre-tax bucket to the post-tax bucket, while their income was lower than it would ever be, was a great time for it. And they learned all of that. We discovered it together as we had those meetings through a tax mapping report and analysis. Find out if strategies like a Roth conversion are right for you and how to potentially protect your wealth from risks like higher taxes in the future. If you're 55 years old and older, you've saved $500,000 in investable assets we can help you with. That tax mapping report and analysis complimentary.
All righty, there's this article on Kiplinger.com, and it was talking about the danger of the stock market turning sour that first year that you retire. So they actually followed two brothers. This is the story of Sam and Dave. And each brother had $500,000 saved for retirement. And when they retired, they each took out $30,000 a year to live on. Sam retired in the year 2000. Dave retired in the year 2010. And after 10 years, Dave, who retired in 2010, he had $874,000. So $374,000 more than what he started with. Now, Sam, who retired in the year 2000, he was down to $96,000, Abe. Sam went through the huge market declines of the year 2000 and 2008. Dave did not. Are there things that Sam could have done to minimize all of this risk that he apparently had?
Yeah, and that risk right there is a risk that we see as people come in and meet with us that very few people are aware of or actually understand. And that risk that you just explained, why one brother had more money after 10 years than he started with and the other brother had almost nothing left, is called sequence of returns risk. And it's the risk to any retiree, not when you're saving, but retired and withdrawing money out of your portfolio, that if the markets are down while you're withdrawing, at the same time, you've got a double negative. Like if you don't have anything in your portfolio or life savings that you can go to when markets are volatile and down as a safe haven to pull from and not have to sell when stocks are down, that is key. Otherwise, you will probably incur sequence of returns risk, or I call it sequence risk. Very few people that come into our office have heard of that. And that's because we believe, and it's our understanding, that over 90% of the entire industry are investment managers, accumulation-based advisors, focusing on return, focusing on saving, focusing on accumulating. Nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. But then you get to the point of retirement and you say, hey, I have my nest egg and now I want to enjoy it. Well, I would add not only the first year, but that first probably 3 to 7 years of retirement. If the markets are down, you don't have a safe haven, a safe place in your portfolio to withdraw from. While the markets are down, you will likely incur sequence risk. It can totally change the outcomes of what your nest egg and life savings will look like 10, 20, 30 years from now. And in fact, you could potentially run out of money. So yes, of course, there are things you can do. I'll explain it through a story where a couple just came in from Herndon, Virginia, about $4 million saved, nothing protecting their downside. Everything was fully invested in stocks and bonds. Came to us 2 years before retirement, knowing that they wanted to protect about 40% of their portfolio and life savings so that they could rely on stable income on top of their Social Security. And so 40% of their nest egg and life savings, they set aside, put it in a safe haven, tools and instruments that could protect a lot of their downside, give them stable income. That, coupled with Social Security, took care of most of their bills so that essentially the rest of the income from the rest of the portfolio, the other 60% of the portfolio, and the income that could come from that side was essentially icing on the cake. And that's a really great way to set things up. And that's why a 60-40 or a 70-30 combination or somewhere thereabouts is so common for someone in their 60s about to retire or into retirement. If you're 55 and older, you've saved $500,000 or more in investable assets we can help you with. We'd like to offer you the same retirement income plan that we helped this couple with in Herndon, Virginia, that helped them to understand how they could eliminate or reduce sequence of returns risk at the point of retirement. One of the biggest retirement risks that very few people know about, complimentary.
Abe and his team, they're here to help you do that. So it's theretirementkey.com to start the conversation, or you can just click on the links we've got posted in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abich. To learn more about Abich Financial Services, visit theretirementkey.com and join Abe for his radio show, The Retirement Key, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 8 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Abish Financial Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and the content of this communication has not been approved or verified by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or by any state securities authority. The information contained in this material is intended to provide general information about Abish Financial Wealth Management and its services. It is not intended to offer investment advice. Investment advice will only be given after a client engages our services by executing the appropriate investment services agreement. Information regarding investment products and services are provided solely to read about our investment philosophy and our strategies.